because it's weird to not be able to see
to not have it on.
there.
It should be working.
Anyways, are we live?
Yeah, no, we're live. I just figured we'd go in casually, just casually like load it up. Yeah. Hi everybody, how's it doing? How's it doing?
How is it doing?
How's it doing?
Yeah.
How are you guys doing? How's it? Oh, is there? Oh, there's audio. What are you guys talking about? There's audio now.
This time because everyone's off like fighting the war.
Yeah, so everybody's on the war.
We can say whatever we want. No one's gonna be listening this time around.
Say whatever we want.
Yeah.
Let's call Anthony.
Yeah, let's get Anthony in here. How's everybody doing? Welcome to our bi-weekly dev stream. I always find it confusing to say bi-weekly because I always think that means once or twice a week. Anyhow, my name is Matt. I'm here with HB to my right, and to his right is Mark, but it's to your left because the screen is flips. But how you guys doing? I think it's been a very, very interesting couple of weeks. The war was way longer than we expected.
Brutal.
I think people enjoyed it though. Like we're always nervous that people are getting bored, and sure, some people are. I'm not saying nobody gets bored after 3 weeks, but I was reading a Reddit thread on the war. It was made by a player just sort of to get everyone's feedback on it, and the general sense was that people liked the long war, so which is great because we like long wars too. I think the only thing that is exciting now, and I mentioned this in the blog, is that there's an opportunity now to add in more content, because really for the longest time wars wouldn't last past a couple of days. Actually, for the longest time, it wouldn't even get past like the first or second day, and then eventually it started lasting a few days, and then when we got into World Conquest, it started lasting a week, and then now. Wars are lasting several weeks, and that's great because it opens up all kinds of doors for us to add in lots more interesting content. And we're excited. There's a couple of ideas that we're like rolling around at the office, and these are ideas that have been kind of like sitting in the wings, right? It's not new. It's more like a lot of the ideas that were sitting in the wings on the sidelines. Suddenly now we're like, these are. Maybe we can take them off the sidelines, and now these can become a thing, right? And it's not naming specific features, but like the idea of like higher end weapons and content, so that the war really feels like it evolves over time. And I also like the idea. We're also excited about the idea that like wars might not always reach that length. So it's like maybe once every like 3-4 wars. We get a long one, and then during that long one is the rare chance that it would actually reach the point where the arms race will get to the point where there's like a super weapon at the end. But then on the other hand, maybe some wars will just last like a couple of days, which is fine as well. But that's like the beauty of this game, is that we try not to control what players are doing as much as we can. Obviously, we have to do some of that to make sure it just doesn't totally devolve into like chaos, but like they intend to do. Right, exactly. But there are other games that try to do a persistent war where they try to really make sure nothing can really go to like an extreme end. Like you can't really finish a war quickly, or in some cases you can't even finish a war. But we want to make sure that there's real consequences, and that things can be different. You can have a long war, you can have a short one, and all the different lengths in between, and that's really exciting to me, right?
Yeah. It was very fun seeing what's going on.
I think from my perspective, I think the one thing that I would like to see, and just alludes to what you're talking about, and this doesn't mean anything, I'm literally just speaking now. I would just like to see sort of bigger goals for like late game, just big things to work towards, so that when that 3-week mark hits, you still haven't achieved all the goals that are possible.
Yeah.
Because I think that would just make it like we'd probably get some crazy stories out of that, and that's kind of what I want to see.
Yeah. That would be really cool. The other kind of large topic that has been talked about since I released the last blog. Are the resource mines. That was a bit of a hot topic on the weekend, and I want to just talk about that really quickly. I read a lot of the feedback, and I think a lot of the feedback actually makes a lot of sense. I think that especially seeing this feature through the lens of we've been waiting for some change in Logi for so long, and we're hoping that like you know this is going to make some big change, and finally like Logi revamp is here, and then we finally reveal the first piece of it, and it's like kind of a huge like letdown in a lot of ways for like, a lot of people. I know everyone's excited about the concept, but in a way that like can implement it, a lot of players express like a disappointment, and I think it's totally fair because through the lens that they're looking at it through, that a lot of you guys are looking at it through, is like, well, this was supposed to solve all these problems. This was supposed to change this complete.
Do they actually know what they're doing?
Like, yeah, exactly. So I think that from that lens, it makes sense. I think the feedback totally makes sense, and we get it. We're on the same page, right? But the thing is, the lens that we're seeing it through is that we have a Logi revamp that roadmap. Actually, it's not even just like a feature. It's like a roadmap for Logi that goes all the way from now until like next year, right? And like that roadmap has been like circulating around the office for the last couple of weeks, and mines are like 15% of that. And it's not so much it's going to do much on its own. And in fact, I almost feel like when it's released, the first version, it might in fact really not change that much, right? But it's rather going to be one of the supporting pieces of of a larger puzzle that we're trying to solve. And I think that after maybe like a couple of those pieces are in, right? Maybe like 3 of those pieces are in. Then it'll become more clear what we're trying to do in the end, and then it's possible at that point that I don't think we're ever gonna be able to like please all the Logi players out there, but I think at least you will see what we're trying to do with it, because I think another thing to kind of talk about is that the way that we're like developing features right now has changed a bit from the past, and that's because the game has gone further along in development. It's more like mature. It's more certain where the light at the end of the tunnel is going to be, and we try, right? This is not always, but we always try now to not just throw something out there and see if it works or not. Like we in the past, like maybe like a year ago, that was a lot of our philosophies. Like, okay, well, players are not happy about this thing. Let's just, or not necessarily players, but like other players or us. Let's just throw in this one thing and then see how it works, and then we'll kind of take things from there. But what we're trying to do now is be like, okay, can this be a good way, a long-term solution, or at least a part of the long-term solution? Is it going to get us closer to the long-term solution? And think of it in the context of multiple parts, not just on its own, right? And that's why even stuff with like the structure decay, we don't want to just be like, hey, just throw in like a cheap solution only for us to change it like a few weeks later. Certainly that's going to happen still in some cases, but my point is that we're trying to have a shift in the way of thinking, so that we're thinking more long term, so that the game is not just flopping. Because what we don't want to have is a game that's forever in like early access, where it's just constantly flipping back and forth. It's it's not really like getting any better. And you know what's funny is that there were players in the community that have like called us out on this in the past. Like, we're not really making the game better. We're just constantly changing things around, and that's a fair statement. And I think it was true in a lot of ways. And this sort of like slight change in the paradigm is to work towards not just constantly flipping back and forth between different things, but
to make it better, but
to actually have a long-term plan and hopefully reach like the end of the tunnel, right? So I kind of hope that kind of helps, and I think that I hope that I'm excited to review more of the roadmap in the future, but there is a long-term plan. I think if there's any kind of message I want to get across, is that we're working towards a long-term plan.
Cool.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Cool.
All right, let's move on to community highlight snippets.
Yeah.
With HB.
I just realized that we're probably not gonna have audio for videos.
No, we have audio. I tested it earlier.
Oh, awesome.
It might be a little warbly, but whatever.
Awesome.
We have it.
Yeah. So moving on.
Wow.
Cool.
So I'm gonna start with this one. This one is made by Bogdan. Once again, it's a war machine for the wardens. I just thought it was like a pretty neat concept, like kind of like addressing some of the things that people want from the vehicles for the wars, and it's just like very well done, very well thought out. You can even see like engines and sign and stuff like that. And as always, he puts up like step by step on how he does his drawings, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like showing how it's made.
Yeah.
The process.
Yeah, I like it. It's not a half track. It's actually a 6-wheeled vehicle, so it operates differently. You can probably it's a little bit more agile, but also has some drawbacks on space and stuff like that. I think it's supposed to be heavy, very very heavy, like a big vehicle for like bigger transport.
Right.
That's why it says like transport 9 or 10 people, like as if it was a small fob. So
like
it moves along. It's kind of like the equivalent, I think, of the cargo ship, but like on a smaller version, like
and it doesn't have to like deploy. It just kind of works. It just kind of moves along. Yeah.
It would be really cool to have something like that. It's an idea that we always thought like people end up using sometimes for operating bases as something like that. They just build one after another, and if they're gonna do that anyway, maybe we should think of a solution more in line with this.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation. I think that's something that's a valuable lesson in the long run for this type of game, actually, right? So
I just want to point out that I really like that when people make these things, they really try to hit our naming conventions very carefully.
Cool.
It's always really neat to see.
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty neat. Next one, let's see what we have. Oh, this is a video. This is something that I thought it was really cool. I don't know if there's audio.
You'll find out soon. It doesn't really look like it though.
Oh well.
Actually, it could be because of this here.
It could be your end.
Oh, the volume button is not working.
Just press function again.
Yeah.
Yep, there's volume.
There's volume? Awesome. Yeah. Perfect. So this is pretty cool. This one is everything that we wanted from the emotes is this video. They're using the emotes to like do all the role playing of like gate inspectors.
Okay.
So they're checking out every single truck. They're making them stop.
Right.
Like checking out like all
That's awesome.
the interior of the truck, seeing what is in there. They're also helping fix it up. So they allow people like to stop there and get all their papers checked. Yeah. As if they were papers. And
for the glory of the Warden Empire.
And then they allow people to like move on, and
so this is pretty new, isn't it?
Yeah, this was done from. It was either done yesterday.
Well, it had to have been because it's 015, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's really cool though.
Yeah, no, this is awesome.
They have the gate inspector man and the gate tester tag. It's really really sweet. I love it. I love this one because it shows the potential of a lot of the roleplay that people are always trying to do.
Yeah.
See, like they're saying, no, move forward. And
that's so cool. And it's like that's one of those things where I know you are specifically really excited about like doing a lot more of those in the future, right? So if you guys have any suggestions on that, I don't even know why I'm asking that because I'm sure we've asked it in the past and you guys have tons of ideas.
Yeah, tons of ideas. And it's gonna be great. But yeah, this is. Oh, it's back.
It's
okay,
back.
Guys.
Okay, great.
Can you move?
Yeah, let's just go to the camera.
I wanna sync because this is gonna be a nightmare to sync for YouTube again. So.
Sorry guys, I don't know what happened. Like on our end, we didn't drop any frames. There was nothing wrong.
We didn't see anything wrong. So we were talking about the like more of the community highlights. Just let the community highlights die. You know what? No.
Just because you asked. No.
So this one I thought it was pretty cool. It's just a compilation of some really nice different art styles, one more cartoony, one more anime, and even like something that Lurkus did based on
something from Lurkus. We haven't seen anything in a while.
It's really cool. It's a redrawn of a pretty nice manga called Kids, if I'm not mistaken. It's really nice. Anyway, I thought it was just great art, all around.
Well, in that top right one, I think that the
top right,
the Warden tank is extremely accurate to the concept, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's beside. What is it beside of? I can't say for sure. It's really well done.
Maybe a ship.
Maybe.
Can't tell actually.
Maybe it's like the unannounced gigantic tank that occupies the whole screen. It is with the children, yes.
Cool.
Really good. Just finished anyway.
Cool.
And we have one more video that I thought it was pretty neat. Okay, so there's some backstory. This, you guys know what a music video is, right? A music video is just a video on a music. It's a very common thing for anime communities to do AMVs, which is anime music videos. They pick up a song and they do they chop like parts of they edit top parts of the anime on top of it that follows the song and stuff like that. This is a GMV, which is a game music video. And I think this is our first game music video that we have, like full blown for a whole song.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that we are not allowed to actually put the whole song there.
30 seconds.
It's not ours, so we're gonna time it. We're gonna time it.
Let me actually see if this thing should be okay. No, that thing is all the way up. So
okay. So
no, we're good. We should be good on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
all right.
So 30 seconds.
GMV.
That's all you get.
I actually didn't even know this was a thing.
I had no idea this was a thing. I knew what an AMV was, but
yeah, I looked it up later. And this is just like all this static music, all pumped up, cool. It's really, really nice. I don't know about the quality of the song.
Actually,
not my style of music, just put it that way.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's really cool. Like the scenes that they picked, that they chose, were so like nice, so well done.
There's this post-effect stuff going on.
Oh yeah, well, it's a lot of bayonet combat and assaults. Like this one is pretty sweet. Like he picks up a grenade and just lies there and takes everybody. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know how much more of it we can show without being flagged. So let's
move on.
Let's move on. Yeah, that was a lot.
Oh,
these will be in the community highlights for you guys.
Yeah, you guys can watch the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the sneak peek.
Yeah, and this is the last thing that I wanted to show. Freak once again is in the community highlights. As you can see, a lot of new animations and a lot of new illustrations as well. It's really cool. And this time, I didn't get all the information of it, so I could be talking out of my ass here. But there's going to be a 3v3 tournament by Zero. I don't know. It's in the screen there. It's going to happen at August 31st. And I thought it was a pretty interesting illustration for the event that is coming. It'll be really cool. Like, we're seeing more and more of these events from players that have like illustrations and videos and like really getting people involved into it.
Yeah, it's not just the event, it's like the promo too.
Yeah, and I thought this was really cool using the art style that Freak.
Well, Freak has really like adopted this style. He's become kind of like known for it in the Foxhole community, which I thought is really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my t-shirts.
Oh yeah. If you haven't seen the shirts yet,
I bought them and I'm just waiting for them to arrive now.
That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, you guys can check out this and much more on community highlights that is coming up. I don't know the number. I think it's like 49 or something like that. It's
lot.
We've been doing this for a while now. And KFC is gonna have it posted sometime this week. The link is gonna be up here as well for people on YouTube. And yeah, it's some really cool stuff. This time I was a little bit on a rush, so I didn't see everything that was there. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But I know for sure there's some pretty cool videos that I couldn't present. There's some really nice illustrations. I couldn't read any text this time, but I'm sure there's gonna be some stuff there.
We still have to do the fan fiction reading.
Oh, the dramatic. We should do a dramatic reenactment of one of them.
Hey, did anybody meet my challenge? I don't even remember what it was anymore, but I know I made a challenge last week.
Or 2 weeks ago. Someone to do like the audio recording.
Yeah, dude, or animated was the other. That's right.
Yeah.
No,
cool.
I don't think anybody has. So I'm gonna issue it again. I want to see some dramatic readings of war stories.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Cool.
Let's move on.
Let's move on to the development update. Talking about what we're working on. So there's only one thing I want to talk about today, but I think it's pretty cool. I mentioned earlier that the veterans would be interested in this. I mean, I think everyone would be interested in it, but I said veterans is because it's a system in the game that's been around for so long, and a lot of people have been calling for a revamp, and we told everyone that it probably wouldn't be happening anytime soon. But we found some time to work on it. So, and it made sense because it was related to some of the other big features that we're working on as well. And this is extreme work in progress, but we want to give you guys a sneak peek. So it's a combat revamp. So this is going to be basically taking a look at... Oh,
don't worry about it.
Pause up 1 second. Taking a look at various aspects of the combat, from weapon mechanics to the UI for like aiming, to the camera, and just sort of fixing a lot of problems that we have, trying to make combat more like we originally wanted it to be. But so there's, again, like Logi, there's different parts of this, and we're only going to just talk about one small part of it. Well, it's not small. It's a pretty like big part of it. But we're going to talk about some of the weapon mechanics and how we're changing it. So there's a couple of things that we're not happy about with the way that the weapon mechanics work. Our goal was to make weapons feel really like tactical in the game. That you're making smart choices, and that you can it's sort of the tactics over your twitch skills, right? It's kind of what we've always tried to go for, and the original system was made for that, but it had a lot of problems. One of the problems was that it wasn't clear what was going on. There's no clear way to see how well you're doing, how poorly you're doing, or rather how well or poorly your weapon is handling. And also, it just wasn't working. Simply, besides the feedback, the system wasn't working well, right? And a big part of the reason why it wasn't working well was because the existing system that we had was like overly complicated. It had a lot of variables and inputs in the background, and I've talked about this in the past. I've told you guys that like under the hood is actually a very complex system, but it was overly complicated, and it made it difficult to balance and tune. And if you can't balance and tune it properly, then the outcome is just going to be bad, right? Mm-hmm. So I actually want to show you guys rather than talk to you guys about this small bit of progress that we've made in a live demo. So this is a special map that we built. Oh, hold on a second. It's
specifically just to test this particular feature. Yeah. This isn't going to be in the game, but we may, try to surface some of this type of functionality in the future.
Exactly. So this is a shooting range map, and we made it so that we can tune the weapons, and that we can examine exactly what's going on, so that when we tune each weapon, it's a lot more predictable about what the outcome is going to be. And like I said, if it's predictable, then we can tune it well, right? So Some things I want to highlight first is on the left side, you can see a graph there, right? And you can kind of see it. You can see as I shoot, it just kind of goes up and down. And that graph on the left is representative of the current stability level of your weapon, right? Hold on a second, frame rate's gone bonkers. But yeah, so that graph on the left is how stable your current weapon is. So as you can see with this new system, as you're running around, your stability just kind of drops down once you're sprinting, down to like nothing. So at this point, your aim is like very unstable. But as soon as you start and stand still, then your stability goes back up. And I do want to mention that we purposely like exaggerated the numbers here so that you guys can see what's going on. This is not the actual numbers that are going to be used in the game, right?
They'll probably be very. They will probably be very, very finely tuned.
Exactly.
So,
this is just for like demonstration purposes, so we can see what's going on. But as you can see, each time I shoot, the recoil causes the stability to go down. And
can you actually do that against the wall? It's
yes.
It's actually a little hard to see on the sand.
Oh, like which?
Just against the white wall.
Like
just
which part against
next
the
to
white
the target? Just aim and show that again next to the white target.
What is hard to see?
Yeah.
The recoil.
Oh yeah. No, that was part of my second part of my.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Because
Yeah.
you were shooting and talking. And it was hard to see what was going on. My bad.
I was demonstrating the
stability, just the graph.
Yeah, I was just demonstrating the
okay.
graph. But as you can see here, if I sprint up to this wall here and I shoot, right, or if I just sort of have a low stability and I start shooting, you can kind of see that the well, I ran out of ammo, so that was a very poor demo. But let's try that again. If I'm sprinting and I move up here, you can see that the aim is extremely poor because my stability never like recovers. But on the other hand, if I go over here and I'm kind of crouched, my stability is extremely stable, and you can see the aim there is much more tuned, right? It's much more tight. So if you can see the two spray patterns here, this will fix issues like shadow dancing and like running and gunning. And you can make a lot more choices, right? The game, I think, will feel much more like tactical, and it'll be much more clear. Basically, we want you to be in control, right? We don't want like the game to just that doesn't mean the RNG is going to go away. The RNG is still there, but you will be able to make choices more clearly, and you will feel like you're more in control of the stability of your weapon, right? So this yeah, so there's another for some reason there's getting some frame rate issues here, but
yeah, this stream is actually apparently is lagging quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so. I don't know what it is. This laptop we have some issues capturing video from. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, so you can see the spray pattern here on some machine gun is if I never let go, the recoil just kind of makes the stability just keep getting worse and worse.
I think it's worth also noting the crosshair.
Yes, that was the other thing.
Is 1-to-1 now, so if you watch during it might be a bit hard to see on stream, but if you watch during the SMG spray, it gets pretty dramatic.
Yeah, so I'll try to show the indicator here. Hopefully it's more clear, but as you can see, when I shoot, it gets much further apart, and as the stability, as it increases, the targeting reticle just gets closer and closer, right? So, whereas this previously was happening, but it was not as clear, right? Mm-hmm. And we're still gonna make we have a plan to improve the UI in general with this to make things look much nicer. So this is like super early, but just kind of want to show you where things are starting to head, because it's really exciting for us, because as soon as we started doing this, we got really excited about the combat again and about all the problems it's going to fix. So
I think something that's always really bothered me that this addresses is the crosshair is like a lot more 1-to-1 with your actual recoil is. It represents a lot
Yeah.
A lot closer so that you can make far more informed decisions.
Yeah, so as you see, as you turn here, your stability goes down as well, as you can see on the graph on the left. And certain weapons have are better for like snapshotting. So for example, now that I'm holding the SMG and I'm turning, is not as bad as when I was holding the rifle, right? So it's much better for like snapshotting as an example, right? So that's an example of the kind of things that we can tune on a pro weapon basis. We have a lot of work in terms like balancing. So, again, what you see here, don't even look at the values. This is just for a test, but it's exciting because these inputs are there now. These switches and levers are there, and there's a lot more that we can do now. So, yeah.
Cool. I'm really excited about it. Yeah. This is something that I've been pretty passionate about for a long time, and I'm glad to see it. Sort of, it feels a little bit more in line with sort of I think what like my expectations were when the system was even like described to me.
Yeah.
It just seems more like we're leaning into what we had already planned, as opposed to really changing anything. Like it's kind of more the intention. A lot of people want to see you shoot into the corner of the screen.
Shoot into the corner of the screen. So one thing to note is that there's work we're doing there too to make some of the corner shooting less of a requirement.
Yeah. That's kind of why I brought it up.
Yeah. So I almost just want to talk about it all, but some stuff is just too work in progress yet. That I don't want to say anything, but it's exciting. Yeah.
Cool. All right, we're going to move on to Q&A. If you guys have any questions about the new combat stuff, if you have questions about anything else, start asking in the chat. I will grab them and then I will field them to the gentleman next to me as well as myself. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much the stream today. It's a pretty light stream. We knew that there was going to be a war going on, and apologize for the video. Once again, people were saying we're dropping frames. It's actually just for some reason. Mark and I did a test this morning with this laptop. It was fine. On the stream, it's not fine. So I have no idea, like, technology, right? Will we get weapon-specific spray patterns? Asks Googaloo.
So some of the inputs into the weapons will change how wide your spray is, but in terms of like specific shapes, if that's the question, not in this pass. No, that's not. I guess if the question can be clarified more, I can answer it more specifically. I don't know what that, if it just meant by spray pattern. I guess that could.
I mean, there's two ways you could go. Is each one going to be tuned differently? Yeah. But is each one going to have like a highly custom like spray pattern, like I guess like a game like CS:GO or something? Probably not, and at least in this pass, unless that's something we deem is 100% necessary. But that goes to the fact that we don't want Foxhole to be a Twitch-based sort of like skill-based shooter. The skill should be in the strategy you're using with the weapons that you're using, and the sort of the decision making. Whether you're crouching or stabilizing your ammo or your aim, you're stabilizing your ammo, stabilizing your aim. So when it comes to like individual spray patterns for individual weapons, that gets to a level that might be just a little too deep in the shooting mechanics for what we want Foxhole to be, but that's not to say you'll never see it.
Yeah, I think a part of it too is almost like going back to first principles and making sure the first principles are working well before we add on more complexity, which was our mistake the first time around, which we didn't start with first principles. We just made it complex off the bat. Mm-hmm. And because it was too complicated, it was difficult to change and difficult to tune and difficult to like make better. So now that this is like, let's go back to first principles first, and then we'll talk about, possibly other things like spray patterns.
Yep.
A couple of people, I just want to kind of talk about this because I do think it's a really interesting topic. A couple of people are mentioning adding map cover, and that would help with certain things, and that's a really interesting topic, and it's something that I would like to get into talking about a little bit more in the future. But for what it's worth, all the maps are built in such a way so that you build the cover. And in a lot of ways, that's not to say there isn't, but a lot of it is supposed to be you guys building sandbags, you guys building walls, things like that. Just for the record. When can we buy merch? Asks Yabba333.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you can buy merch, everything. Foxhole merch? I don't know.
We are working on it. And actually recently, a couple of weeks ago, more than usual amount of work went into it. Basically, we're trying to look for a good solution that is maintainable for us. And there is work being done on that as we speak. So, but there isn't a timeline on it. Yeah, it is. It's being worked on. This is not like I'm not just saying it. Like there was a lot of back and forth. Yeah.
Everything gets in first, then merge. Like everything that the game needs ends up coming first.
Absolutely. Like the guy who was working on the merchandise stuff is a dev, right? Like we don't have extra marketing team that works on that. So it was a dev, and then as soon as something else actually, hey, we got to work on this feature now, then we kind of dropped that, or they didn't drop it, but kind of moved it into the background.
Yeah.
But there's movement there, so I think we're closer than we were, say, 2 months ago.
Not to mention, I'm sure he'd be able to speak more intelligently to this, but it's we're also trying to find the right solution, not just a solution, if that makes sense.
Well, one of the biggest things, to be honest, is that we want to make sure that if we ever sell merchandise, that the quality is up there. Like we've tried printing shirts before that came out very poorly, and that's our biggest fear. We don't want you guys to buy something that has Foxhole on it that isn't well made, right? I think that's one of the reasons why we've been kind of like picky about that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Pachurin asks, can you make the crosshair representative of the actual cone within which the bullets will go? So that's what I was talking about before. It will be. And
right now it represents stability, right?
Yeah, right now it just represents like a stability range, and it's a little unclear as to what it's actually talking about. Whereas when we see those crosshairs, I think since like Doom, we've been trained that
the bullet will go between.
The bullet will go between that area, and I think that's what it represents in the demo that was shown, which I think is far more useful.
Yeah, like I think it makes a big difference if you're shooting something that is closer to you. Even if you have like a huge spread, you can still see that the crosshairs will never go beyond a certain amount because you're shooting so close to you that the spread is within the cone. Yeah. And then when you're too far away, it's going to be gigantic.
XGP X, sorry. When will we know what direction you are taking logistics? At the moment, we don't really know what you're planning or are planning on taking it. Where you're planning on taking it, sorry, and I worry that it's moving away from working with friends over being efficient alone.
What's the worry?
That you're taking the focus away from working with people and moving it towards being efficient alone.
No, I don't think that's a goal. Our goal is always to allow people to work together. I think if there's a concern about that, then please let us know. But I think there's a few reasons why we haven't talked about the whole thing. One is because some of it is like really big features that we don't want to. We maybe did this like more at the very beginning of the project, and we kind of slowly stopped doing it. Is like talk about really, really big features way before we even have any visibility on like when it's gonna happen, right? Because it's crazy. We don't want to be like hyping up all this like crazy stuff when it's that far away, and then it turns out that we had to change course at some point, and then we kind of set the wrong expectations. That's not cool, right? Like we're fans of games too, and we get let down when a developer is like, oh, it's gonna be like this and this specifically, and then it turns out to not be that. Then it's really frustrating, right? So, I think this is a struggle for like every developer, to be honest. It's not like unique to us. We almost get overly excited and we want to talk about everything, and you tend to learn like, well, you got to be honest with people too, and we want to be on the same page. We don't want to like bullshit anyone, right? Yeah. I think it comes down to that. So, it's kind of hard to be able to talk about the full picture before we're like past some threshold of certainty that's going to be in. But I guess maybe there's some things that we can try to mention there. Our goal is to have a progression and choice with the Logi game, right? We want there to be room to kind of do things, to make mistakes more, and have choice, and those choices can lead to mistakes, or it can lead to higher levels of efficiency. We want the things you're doing to change. We want there to be new things to build and new things to like interact with as the war progresses, so that by the time you're at the third week of the war, there's all kinds of different different content and different, possibly different like activities. So there's different parts there that is just more than just, we're adding mines because we want. The one thing that is definitely not the case, we're adding mines because people don't like scrapping. That's like completely not the reason. We wouldn't have added it for that, right? Mm-hmm. It's rather a part of this whole other plan. So, and it wasn't added into like fixed Logi either, at least not like directly. So that's something. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about it more soon. Yeah. Sorry for the vagueness.
But there will be more. That's what you need to know.
Do you have like sort of a timeline, like of when they can expect to hear more?
Yeah, I think at least like some more of it in the coming like 2 cycles, like the 2 dev blog / stream cycles.
Cool.
So it's not like months and months down the road. I think like, I don't know, next couple of weeks, months, I don't know, maybe a bit longer, right? Cool. If I have to just make an estimate.
Near future.
Yeah. But there are some parts of it that we will not talk about until
it's ready.
Until a long time, because they're big, like they're kind of crazy features, if I have to be honest. That stuff, those parts are probably not going to come until much later on, just to be clear.
Deathslayer2481 doesn't have a question really so much as a comment. What about, well, I guess it's technically a question. What about Warden and Colonial Army Men toys?
That would be really sweet.
I don't know why we don't have that already, like, ready to go.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. If you guys don't know, we actually built the first map design for Deadlands out of toy houses and army men. And we planned out what like different routes were going to be with them. I think I have a screenshot of it somewhere.
Yeah, it's really cool. There was like this, exactly where we are right now, but there was this huge dry erase board on the table, like horizontal to the table. So like all the rivers and mountains were drawn in, but like all the houses and like the streets were placed. It was really sweet, actually.
It was really fun to work on and change in the meetings and everything. We stopped doing that because it became impractical for every map, but that first map was really fun. This is a suggestion that I just thought was interesting. I'd like to get your perspective, Mark. This comes from Big Mac Gaming, CAW Big Mac Gaming.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys considered making the RD/mortar and Howie shells in stacks for vehicles, so allowing you to be able to stack ordnance shells in vehicles,
just in vehicles,
not on person, because it does make sense if you think about like a truck stacked with those types of things. Now, I know that like from a technology perspective, that's not exactly possible at the moment, but how would you feel about something like that?
Yeah, I think we'd have to see what that would change in the game. See if there's any extreme. I think whenever we change something like that, especially now when there's a lot of players playing the game and we have to kind of see what the ramifications are going to be, because there's a lot of things that seem very tiny or harmless, but can actually have a huge impact on the meta, right? If certain things are suddenly a lot easier to do, I'm not saying that specific change is that, but I don't. Yeah, I think I don't think there's anything specifically we would have against that. I think we just have to take a look at how it would change the balance of the game. And also there could be other opportunities there, like maybe there's other specific vehicles that can do that.
Well,
yeah, like there's specific vehicles that can stack those kind of ordnance as opposed to maybe the standard truck can't.
Oh, is that what the suggestion
No,
is?
I'm just making a suggestion.
Oh, yeah.
or
yeah.
we can, let's say we have with different vehicle types, so the stack amount of each item is different. So let's say that on a half track, you can stack more, I don't know, heavy machine gun, mortar shells, up to 3 per slot. And you know you have like a 9 slot compartment. But on a tank, like tank shells, you can like stack up to 6 per slot. Like maybe like they're different for each one, and then we can lower the amount of a lot of slots in a vehicle to be more specific. I think that like if we plan for this kind of flexibility, it could be pretty interesting. Like, certain vehicles are allowed to have more stacks, but they have like they stack more of a certain of a certain ammo, but they don't have as many slots, so people cannot, I don't know, use it to transport fuel and ammo and soldier supplies and DMATs and stuff like that. They could be more specific, but they wouldn't be useful for another type of ammo because it's not maybe, it's not what's prepared for. That could be interesting. That could have some interesting ramifications.
Yeah, I like it. I thought it was kind of interesting, but it would change up the game because if you could suddenly bring like 100 mortar shells too.
Oh, but that's what I'm saying. If you have a very specific, then you can say like, hey, you only have 2 slots on a tank, but you can only, so one for them is for fuel, the other one is for shells, and the maximum amount that tank shells can be stacked on the tank is 10.
And then they have to be resupplied.
They have to be resupplied.
Neat.
But on a large tank, you still have the same slots, but the stack is maybe 20.
Yeah, that's cool. I think there's a lot to play with there.
Yeah, cool idea.
Lek Origins asks, considering you don't want the game to be a Twitch-based shooter, what are your thoughts on the shotgun? They're by far most in favor of this playstyle, and right now are by far the most broken.
Yeah, shotguns. No, I agree with you. I agree with you there. I think shotguns should be more effective, obviously, in close quarters. And we've had to tune it a couple of times. I think at one point it was just useless, and then we made it too overpowered due to a mistake, and then we toned it back. And then I think the general feeling is that it's still maybe a bit too powerful. And we're also considering that since we're sort of doing an update on some of the town environments at some point in the future, what role it's going to play there. But I don't disagree with you. It has issues. It's sort of the most like spray and pray type of weapon. So it's a good point.
It is a great point.
It's a great point.
So there's a whole bunch of questions by a bunch of different people, and I feel like this is a really good one to end on. You had mentioned some of the features going into 16, just point 16. What are some things that people can look forward to for point 16 that you can talk about right now?
Yeah. First of all, the communication tools. A bunch of that's going to be going in. So like player operations, a revamp of voice chat, a bunch of changes to the conquest. We're opening up the East Coast to amphibious landings. There's going to be a bunch of other changes in the conquest, like Morgan counties received sort of a facelift, and there's I think one thing that I want to try to push for, but this isn't a promise, is I want to get some of the combat changes in there, at least partially. The resource mines, damn it, this is a big update again. And there's a couple more things, but that's some of it. That's some of the stuff you can look forward to. Yeah.
Cool. What are you most looking forward to?
I'm most looking forward to the communication tools, just because it's going to be a good base for us to build on in the future, because we've completely gutted like our voice chat solution, and we have a completely new one, and the game has never had voice chat built into the game before. So I'm excited about how that's going to change the way players work together, specifically players that aren't on the Discord, that don't regularly have access to all these sort of external tools. I'm excited to see how well that's going to work out. Ultimately, our goal is to allow players to work together, so that kind of strikes at the heart of that goal. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about the combat stuff if something that makes it in, to be honest.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's almost like what's there not to be excited about? As cheesy as that sounds,
that's good marketing.
I don't know what is like the most. Oh, actually, there's something huge that I'm really excited about besides all that stuff. Is the network revamp, right? Because that's going to fix the reload bug. It might cause some other problems in the short run, I'll just say, but it's a new platform for us to like build a more responsive and like bug-free game when it comes to the networking side of things. So I'm actually really excited about that. That's yeah.
It's funny because that one is going to be so like most people may not even notice it because it's kind of under the hood, but they will feel it.
Yeah.
So like it's sometimes that can just make the game like feel better. Those kinds of things, especially like the reload bug, the combat. Like I think 90% of people, if they don't pay attention to the combat, they may not even notice it right away, but it'll be there.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like there's always these big like marketing features, and it's the easiest to work on those. Those are actually like the easiest, and they kind of you get these nice like spikes in your player graph. You know, when if we release like another tank, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, everyone's excited because we can make a really cool like promo picture and a really cool video, and you know everyone sees it and it's really awesome. But that's a short-term gain, right? And those are great. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but what we're really trying to push hard for constantly is the long-term stuff, like doing the work that is behind the scenes, like fixing fundamental systems that will never have any immediate user feedback, like user facing changes, like fixing the bugs in the background. Sometimes bugs that players don't even really see that often, but it's important to fix. Tuning the performance, refactor. Yeah, it's just like, and it's not even that. It's like beyond that. It's like how, for example, one big thing is like how we run our servers is a big deal, because like the more time we spend on managing servers, the less time we have on working on the game. And that's something that users will they actually will literally never see that, right? But if we put work into like, for example, we can reduce the effort that it takes to like, and by effort, I mean like the manual effort that it takes to like operate the servers, operate the conquest, and just operate this whole like, online machine, right? That's 50% more time that we can spend on the actual game. And that part is actually huge, because you won't feel the effects of that over the next month or the next update of 0.16 or 0.17, whatever. But in the long run, over the next year or so, you start seeing like, wow, we're able to move so fast now. We're able to do all this stuff. We're able to like do all the stuff that we couldn't previously, because we're not constantly like, bogged down on like trying to put out fires of like servers failing and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Cool.
No, that's great. Thank you. That's exactly the kind of answer I wanted. Thank you guys for coming out to this sort of quiet stream.
Is it quiet?
It was a little quiet. We got the
Little
combat
quiet?
stuff.
Is
really.
do we have a stream that is going on right now? I'm saying a Foxhole stream that we kind of talked about this, Matt.
Yeah. I mean, if they're still going, I'm not sure if they are.
Looks like Helping Hands is still going, so maybe we can send it there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, go check out Helping Hands stream.
Yeah, we're gonna send you guys over there after this.
If there's a mod, just put a link. We're gonna host them up and enjoy the war as we will be watching.
Yeah. Cool.
So make it good.
Yeah. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, as always, come ask for questions live at twitch.tv/foxholegame and every 2 Tuesdays, bi-weekly.
Fortnightly.
Yeah, fortnightly at 2 p.m. EST. And join us on Discord.
Join us everywhere.
Join us everywhere.
Join us
Follow
everywhere.
on
Discord, Twitter, Reddit.
Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, everywhere.
Steam forums, and YouTube comments. We read them, even the long ones.
Instagram.
At least I read them.
No.
Snapchat.
ICQ number is.
I think we're too old for that.
Yeah, nobody knows what ICQ is anymore.
Cool.
All right, guys. Stay foxy.
See you guys.